Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Right here in the live studios in Hythe, Kent, southeast England. Visible is the English channel. Hoping you are all well and safe and happy. We welcome you all with affection. Out there in cyberspace, wherever you are. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur glorified the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya, glorified the Sri Caitanya-caritämrta in a wonderful poetic way just after he ended a lecture in Munjer. There was an earth tremor, and the tremor caused the Ganga, which was nearby, to come up out of its banks and then recede. Afterwards he said this: in due course, Mahäprabhu, devastating floods, will inundate the entire universe. If you attempt to survive by swimming in that deluge, then do not neglect to take hold of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Or, if you cannot hold all three, then release Bhagavad Gita. If necessary, you may also relinquish Srimad Bhagavatam, but under no circumstances release your hold on Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. For if this one book remains, then the flood can do no actual damage, because after it is subsided, the message of Shastra can be revived from Sri Caitanya-caritämrta alone, it being the essence of all Shastra. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda, Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda, Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. Okay, we've reached the third chapter of Madhya-lila, and the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are moving right along now. He's taken sannyas. He became completely in ecstasy after receiving a sannyas and started wandering aimlessly in Radhadesh. Radhadesh is the area of Bengal in which you can't see the Ganga. It's away from the Ganga. It's called Radhadesh. And while he was doing this, or on the way to doing this, he saw some cowherd boys, and they were chanting Hare Krishna, and he was very happy. And then Nityananda told the cowherd boys, if he asks the way to Vrindavan, you point him in the opposite direction. Okay? They said, okay. And they did that, and that resulted in Lord Chaitanya coming back to Advaita Acharya's house, and the devotees went to get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent one of the devotees, Chandrasekhar, to go and get Mother Sachi and bring her to the house of Advaita Acharya. And now the Lord is there, and Advaita Acharya is about to feed him. So he's seen the arati, Lord Chaitanya's seen the arati, and Lord Nityananda, now they're coming in to take prasad. And this is what happened. Beginning with text 67, chapter 3, Caitanya-caritämrta. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, let us sit down in these three places, and we shall take prasadam. However, Advaita Acharya said, I shall distribute the prasadam. 68. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought that all three servings were meant for distribution. Therefore he asked for another 2 banana leaves, saying, let us have a very little quantity of vegetable and rice. 69. Advaita Acharya said, just sit down here on these seats. Catching their hands, he sat them both down. 70. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, it is not proper for a sannyasi to eat such a variety of foods. If he does, how can he control his senses? Purport. The word upakarana indicates a variety of foods, such as dal, vegetables, and other varieties of possible dishes that one can eat very nicely with rice. It is not proper, however, for a sannyasi to eat such palatable dishes. If he did so, he would not be able to control his senses. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu did not encourage sannyasis to eat very palatable dishes, for the whole Vaishnava cult is vairagya vidya, as renounced as possible. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also advised Raghunath Das Goswami not to eat very palatable dishes, wear very nice garments, or talk on mundane subjects. These things are all prohibited for those in the renounced order. All the rich foods offered to Krishna are given to the grihastas, the householders. Listen up. There are many things offered to Krishna: garlands, bedsteads, nice ornaments, nice food, and even nicely prepared pan, betel nuts. But a humble Vaishnava, thinking his body material and nasty, does not accept such preparations for himself. He thinks that by accepting such things, he will offend the lotus feet of the Lord. Those who are sahajas cannot understand what Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu meant when he asked Advaita Äcärya to bring 2 separate leaves and give a small quantity of the prasadam to him. Text 71. When Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu did not accept the food that had already been served, Advaita Äcärya said, "Please give up your concealment. I know what you are, and I know the confidential meaning of your accepting the sannyas order." Text 72. Advaita Äcärya thus requested Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu to eat and give up juggling words. The Lord replied, "I certainly cannot eat so much food." Text 73. Advaita Äcärya then requested the Lord to simply accept the prasadam without pretense. If he could not eat it all, the balance could be left on the plate. 74. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu said, "I will not be able to eat so much food, and it is not the duty of a sannyasi to leave remnants." Purport. According to Srimad Bhagavatam 11:18-19, Bahir Chalashayam Gatva Tatropash Prishabhagyataha Vibhajya Pavitam Shesham Bunjita Shesham Aditam. Whatever edibles a sannyasi gets from a householder's house, he should take outside near some lake or river, and after offering the food to Vishnu, Brahma, and the sun, 3 divisions, he should eat the entire offering and not leave anything for others to eat. Text 75. In this connection, Advaita Äcärya referred to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eating at Jagannath Puri. Lord Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are identical. Advaita Äcärya pointed out that at Jagannath Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate 54 times a day, and each time he ate many hundreds of pots of food. Checkmate. Text 76. Sri Advaita Äcärya said, "The amount of food that 3 people can eat does not even constitute even a morsel for you. In proportion to that, these edibles are not even 5 morsels of food for you." Text 77. Advaita Äcärya continued, "By my great fortune, you have just come to my home. Please, do not juggle words. Just begin eating and do not talk." Only God can speak to God like that. Text 78. Upon saying this, Advaita Äcärya supplied water to the two lords so that they could wash their hands. The two lords then sat down and, smiling, began to eat the prasadam. Text 79. Nityananda Prabhu said, I have undergone fasting for 3 days continuously. Today, I had hoped to break my fast. Text 80. Although Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was thinking that the quantity of food was enormous, Nityananda Prabhu, on the contrary, thought it not even a morsel. He had been fasting for 3 days and had greatly hoped to break fast on that day. Indeed, he said, although I am invited to eat by Advaita Äcärya, today also is a fast. So small a quantity of food will not fill even half my belly. Text 81. Advaita Äcärya replied, Sir, you are a mendicant traveling on pilgrimage. Sometimes you eat fruits and roots, and sometimes you simply go on fasting. 82. I am a poor brahmana, and you have come to my home. Please be satisfied with whatever little food you have received, and give up your greedy mentality. Text 83. Lord Nityananda Prabhu replied, whatever I may be, you have invited me. Therefore you must supply as much as I want to eat. Text 84. His Divine Grace Advaita Äcärya, after hearing the statement of Nityananda Prabhu, took the opportunity presented by the joking words and spoke to him as follows. 85. Advaita Äcärya said, you are a reject Paramahansa, and you have accepted the renounced order of life just to fill up your belly. I can understand that your business is to give trouble to brahmanas. Purport. There is always a difference of opinion between the Smarta Brahmana and the Vaishnava Goswami. There are even Smarta opinions and Vaishnava Goswami opinions available in astrological and astronomical calculations. By calling Nityananda Prabhu a Brashta Avaduta, a rejected Paramahansa, Advaita Äcärya Prabhu, in a sense, accepted Nityananda Prabhu as a Paramahansa. In other words, Nityananda Prabhu had nothing to do with the rules governing Smarta Brahmanas. Thus, under pretense of condemning him, Advaita Äcärya was actually praising him. In the Avaduta stage, the Paramahansa stage, which is the supermost stage, one may appear to be a Vishayi on the platform of sense gratification, but in actuality, he has nothing to do with sense gratification. At that stage, a person sometimes accepts the symbols and dress of a sannyasi, and sometimes he does not. Sometimes he dresses like a householder. We should know, however, that these are all joking words between Advaita Äcärya and Nityananda Prabhu. They are not to be taken as insults. In Kadadaha, sometimes people misunderstood Nityananda to belong to the Shakta Sampradaya, whose philosophy is Antak Shakta Bahi Shaiva Sabhayam Vaishnavo Mataha. According to the Shakta Sampradaya, a person called Kovalyoduta thinks materially while externally appearing to be a great devotee of Shiva. When such a person is in an assembly of Vaishnavas, he appears like a Vaishnava. Actually, Nityananda Prabhu did not belong to such a community. Nityananda Prabhu was always a brahmachari, of a sannyasi, of the Vaidika order. Actually, he was a Paramahansa. Sometimes he is accepted to be a disciple of Lakshmipati Tirtha. If he is so accepted, Nityananda Prabhu belonged to the Madhva Sampradaya. He did not belong to the Tantrika Sampradaya of Bengal. 86. Advaita Äcärya accused Nityananda Prabhu, saying, "You can eat 10 to 20 manas of rice. I am a poor Brahmana. How shall I get so much rice?" Purport. A mana is a membership, is a measurement. A mana is a measurement containing about 40 kilos. 40 kilos of rice cooked. I mean, a huge amount of rice. Text 87. Whatever you have, though it be a palmful of rice, please eat it and get up. Don't show your madness and strew the remnants of food here and there. Text 88. In this way, Nityananda Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate and talked with Advaita Acharya jokingly. After eating half of each vegetable preparation given to him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu abandoned it and went on to the next. Text 89. As soon as half of the vegetable in the pot was finished, Advaita Acharya filled it up again. In this way, as the Lord finished half of a preparation, Advaita Acharya again and again filled it up. This is love. This is true love. Text 90. After filling a pot with vegetables, Advaita Acharya requested them to eat more. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "How much more can I go on eating?" 91. Advaita Acharya said, "Please do not give up whatever I have already given you. Now, whatever I am giving, you may eat half and leave half." So he kept doing that. He said, "You can eat half and just leave it." And then he would go back and pour it full. And then he would eat it again. He said, "Okay, now just leave half." And in that way it went on and on. True love. In this way, by submitting various humble requests, Advaita Acharya made Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda eat. Thus Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fulfilled all the desires of Advaita Acharya. Text 93. Again Nityananda Prabhu jokingly said, "My belly is not yet filled up. Please take away your food. I have not taken the least of it." 94. After saying this, Nityananda Prabhu took a handful of rice and threw it on the floor in front of him as if he were angry. 95. When 2 or 4 pieces of the thrown rice touched his body, Advaita Acharya began to dance in various ways with the rice still stuck to his body. 96. When the rice thrown by Nityananda Prabhu touched his body, Advaita Acharya thought himself purified by the touch of remnants thrown by Paramahansa Nityananda. Therefore, he began dancing. Purport. The word Avaduta refers to one above all rules and regulations. Sometimes, not observing all the rules and regulations of a sannyasi, Nityananda Prabhu exhibited the behavior of a mad Avaduta. He threw the remnants of food on the ground, and some of these remnants touched the body of Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya accepted this happily because he presented himself as a member of the community of Smarta Brahmanas. By touching the remnants of food thrown by Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya immediately felt himself purified of all smarta, contamination. The remnants of food left by a pure Vaishnava are called Maha Prasadam. This is completely spiritual and is identified with Lord Vishnu. Such remnants are not ordinary. The spiritual master is to be considered on the stage of Paramahansa and beyond the jurisdiction of the Varnashram institution. The remnants of food left by the spiritual master and similar Paramahansas or pure Vaishnavas are purifying. When an ordinary person touches such prasadam, his mind is purified, and his mind is raised to the status of a pure Brahmana. The behavior and statements of Advaita Acharya are meant for the understanding of ordinary people who are unaware of the strength of spiritual values, not knowing the potency of food left by the bona fide spiritual master and pure Vaishnavas. Text 97. Advaita Acharya jokingly said, "My dear Nityananda, I invited you, and indeed I have received the results. You have no fixed caste or dynasty. By nature, you are a madman." Purport. The word Sahaje Pagala, Sahaje Pagal, by nature a madman, indicated that Nityananda Prabhu was transcendentally situated on the Paramahansa stage, because he always remembered Radha, Krishna, and their service. He was transcendental. This was transcendental madness. Sri Advaita Acharya was pointing out this fact. 98. To make me a madman like yourself, you have thrown the remnants of your food at me. You did not even fear the fact that I am a Brahmana. Purport. The words Apanara Sama indicate that Advaita Acharya considered himself to belong to the Smarta Brahmanas, and he considered Nityananda Prabhu to be on the transcendental stage with pure Vaishnavas. Lord Nityananda gave Advaita Acharya his remnants to situate him on the same platform and make him a pure, unalloyed Vaishnava or Paramahansa. Advaita Acharya's statement indicates that a Paramahansa Vaishnava is transcendentally situated. A pure Vaishnava is not subject to the rules and regulations of the Smarta Brahmanas. That was the reason for Advaita Acharya stating, Apanara Samamori Karibare Tare, to raise me to your own standard. A pure Vaishnava, or a person on the Paramahansa stage, accepts the remnants of food, Mahaprasadam, as spiritual. He does not consider it to be material or sense gratificatory. He accepts Mahaprasadam not as ordinary dal and rice, but as spiritual substance. To say nothing of the remnants of food left by a pure Vaishnava, prasadam is never polluted, even if it is touched by the mouth of a chandala. Indeed, it retains its spiritual value. Therefore, by eating or touching such Mahaprasadam, a Brahmana is not degraded. There is no question of being polluted by touching the remnants of such food. Actually, by eating such Mahaprasadam, one is freed from all the contaminations of the material condition. That is the verdict of the Shastra. Text 99. Nityananda Prabhu replied, "These are the remnants of food left by Lord Krishna. If you take them to be ordinary remnants, you have committed an offense." Purport. In the Brihad Vishnu Purana, it is stated that one who considers Mahaprasadam to be equal to ordinary rice and dal certainly commits a great offense. Ordinary edibles are touchable and untouchable, but there are no such dualistic considerations where prasadam is concerned. Prasadam is transcendental, and there are no transformations or contaminations, just as there are no contaminations or transformations in the body of Lord Vishnu himself. Thus, even if one is a Brahmana, he is certain to be attacked by leprosy and bereft of all family members if he makes such dualistic considerations. Such an offender goes to hell, never to return. This is the injunction of the Brihad Vishnu Purana. So this description is to be considered like a transcendental drama. It's like a drama being performed by these three transcendental personalities to teach us all of these things. And anybody who takes the side of one of them against the other is finished. Spiritual life finished. So we have to take this as a spiritual theater and to be enjoyed and to purify us beyond the material platform to the spiritual, and bring us to the spiritual platform. Takes 100. But the sahajas, they'll imitate this and start throwing food around. It's happened. One time Prabhupada got wind of it, that some devotees were doing that as an imitation, and he got angry. He told the devotees, stop it. You can't imitate these personalities. Take the lessons, follow their instructions. Don't try to imitate. Nityananda Prabhu continued, if you invite at least 100 sannyasis to your home and feed them sumptuously, your offense will be nullified. Text 101. Advaita Acharya replied, I shall never again invite another sannyasi, for it is a sannyasi who has spoiled all my Brahminical smriti regulations. Text 102. After this, Advaita Acharya made the lords wash their hands and mouths. He then took them to a nice bed and made them lie down to take rest. Text 103. Sri Advaita Acharya fed the two lords cloves and cardamom mixed with tulsi flowers. Thus there was a very good fragrance within their mouths. Text 104. Sri Advaita Acharya then smeared the bodies of the lords with sandalwood pulp and then placed very fragrant flower garlands on their chests. Text 105. When the Lord lay down on the bed, Advaita Acharya waited to massage his legs. But the Lord was very hesitant and spoke as follows to Advaita Acharya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Advaita Acharya, you have made me dance in various ways. Now give up this practice. Go with Mukunda and Haridas and accept your lunch. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is here telling Advaita Acharya that it is not befitting for a sannyasi to accept nice beds to lie on, or to chew cloves and cardamom and have his body smeared with sandalwood pulp. Nor is it befitting for him to accept fragrant garlands and have his legs massaged by a pure Vaishnava. You have already made me dance according to your vow, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Now please stop it. You can go on and take your lunch with Mukunda and Haridas. Text 107. Thereupon, Advaita Acharya took prasadam with Mukunda and Haridas, and they all wholeheartedly ate as much as they desired. Text 108. When the people of Shantipura heard that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying there, they all immediately came to see his lotus feet. 109. Being very pleased, all the people loudly began to chant the holy name of the Lord, Hari, Hari. Indeed, they became struck with wonder upon seeing the beauty of the Lord. Text 110. They saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's very fair complexioned body and its bright luster, which conquered the brilliance of the sun. Over and above this was the beauty of the saffron garments that glittered upon his body. Text 111. People came and went with great pleasure. There was no calculating how many people assembled there before the day was over. 112. As soon as it was evening, Advaita Acharya began the congregational chanting. He even began to dance himself, and the Lord saw the performance. Text 113. When Advaita Acharya began to dance, Nityananda Prabhu began dancing behind him. Haridas Thakur, being very pleased, also began dancing behind him. Text 114. Advaita Acharya said, "My dear friends, what shall I say? Today I have received the highest transcendental pleasure. After many, many days, Lord Krishna is in my house." Purport. This is a song composed by Vidyapati. Sometimes the word Madhava is misunderstood to refer to Madhavendra Puri. Advaita Acharya was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, and consequently some people think that he was referring to Madhavendra Puri by using the word Madhava. But actually this is not the fact. This song was composed to commemorate the separation of Krishna from Radharani during Krishna's absence in Mathura. It is thought that this song was sung by Srimati Radharani when Krishna returned. It is technically called Mathura Viraha. Text 115. Advaita Acharya led the Sankirtan party, and with great pleasure he sang this verse. There was a manifestation of ecstatic perspiration, shivering, raised hairs, tears in the eyes, and sometimes thundering and bellowing. Text 116. While dancing, Advaita Acharya would sometimes turn around and catch the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Advaita Acharya would then speak to him as follows. Sri Advaita Acharya would say, "Many days you have escaped me by bluffing. Now I have you in my home, and I will keep you bound up." Text 118. So speaking, Advaita Acharya performed congregational chanting with great pleasure for 3 hours that night and danced all the time 3 hours. Can't imitate. 119. When Advaita Acharya danced in that way, Lord Chaitanya felt ecstatic love for Krishna, and because of his separation, the waves and flames of love increased. Text 120. Being agitated by the ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly fell to the ground. Seeing this, Advaita Acharya stopped dancing. 121. When Mukunda saw the ecstasy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he understood the feelings of the Lord and began to sing many stanzas, augmenting the force of the Lord's ecstasy. Text 122. Advaita Acharya raised the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to help him dance, but the Lord, after hearing these stanzas sung by Mukunda, could not be held due to his bodily symptoms. 123. Tears fell from his eyes, and his whole body trembled. His bodily hairs stood on end. He perspired heavily, and his words faltered. Sometimes he stood, sometimes he fell, and sometimes he cried. Text 124. Mukunda sang, "My dear intimate friend, what has not happened to me? Due to the effects of the poison of love for Krishna, my body and mind have been severely afflicted." Purport. When Mukunda saw that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was feeling ecstatic pain and manifesting ecstatic bodily symptoms, all due to feelings of separation from Krishna, he sang songs about Srimati Radharani's meeting with Krishna. Advaita Acharya also stopped dancing. Text 125. My feeling is like this. My mind burns day and night, and I can get no rest. If there were some place I could go to meet Krishna, I would immediately fly there. 126. This stanza was sung by Mukunda in a very sweet voice, but as soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this stanza, his mind went to pieces. 127. The transcendental ecstatic symptoms of disappointment, moroseness, pleasure, restlessness, pride, and humility all began to fight like soldiers within the Lord. Purport. Harsha is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Harsha is experienced when one finally attains the desired goal of life and consequently becomes very glad. When harsha is present, the body shivers and one's bodily hairs stand on end. There are perspiration, tears, and an outburst of passion and madness. The mouth becomes swollen and one experiences inertia and illusion. When a person attains his desired object, he feels very fortunate. The luster of his body increases. Because of his own qualities and feelings of greatness, he does not care for anyone else. This is called garva, or pride. In this condition, one utters prayers and does not reply to others' inquiries. Looking at one's own body, concealing one's desires, and not heeding the words of others are symptoms visible in the ecstasy of garva. So how difficult it is to understand these transcendental symptoms, because they appeared to be mad, they appeared to be, passionate, they appeared to be the symptoms of ignorance sometimes, moroseness, and laziness, and all these things. But all of these are ecstatic symptoms, being shown under great transcendental, ecstatic symptoms. If you take these without understanding, then you will not be able to understand. I know that sounds like circular reasoning, but it's like that. If you don't understand the meanings behind these ecstatic symptoms, then you won't be able to understand. And you'll think they're just crazy people. And there are people who write books like that, describing these leelas as just symptoms of mad people. Therefore, it's very difficult and very dangerous to associate with people who think like that. The devotees get transcendental pleasure out of hearing these pastimes of the Lord. Text 128. The entire body of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to totter due to the onslaught of various ecstatic symptoms. As a result, he immediately fell to the ground and his breathing almost stopped. 129. Upon seeing the condition of the Lord, all the devotees became very anxious. Then suddenly the Lord got up and began to make thundering sounds. 130. Upon standing up, the Lord said, "Go on speaking, go on speaking." Thus he began to dance, overwhelmed with pleasure. No one could understand the strong waves of this ecstasy. Text 31. Lord Nityananda began to walk with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to see that he would not fall, and Advaita, Äcärya, and Haridas Thakur followed them, dancing. 132. In this way the Lord danced for at least 3 hours. Sometimes the symptoms of ecstasy were visible, including pleasure, moroseness, and many other waves of ecstatic emotional love. Text 133. The Lord had been fasting for 3 days, and after that period he took eatables sumptuously. Thus, when he danced and jumped high, he became a little fatigued. Text 134. Being fully absorbed in love of Godhead, he would not understand his fatigue, but Nityananda Prabhu, catching him, stopped his dancing. Text 135. Although the Lord was fatigued, Nityananda Prabhu kept him steady by holding him. At that time, Advaita Äcärya suspended the chanting, and by rendering various services to the Lord, made him lie down to take rest. Text 136. For 10 continuous days, Advaita Äcärya held feasting and chanting in the evening. He served the Lord in this way, without any change. Text 137. In the morning, Chandrasekhar seated Shachimata in a palanquin and brought her from her house with many devotees. Text 138. In this way all the people of the town of Nadia, including all women, boys, and old men, came there. Thus the crowd increased. Text 139. In the morning, after regular duties were completed, and the Lord was chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the people accompanied Shachimata to the house of Advaita Äcärya. Text 140. As soon as Mother Shachi appeared on the scene, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell before her like a stick. Mother Shachi began to cry, taking the Lord on her lap. Text 141. Upon seeing each other, they both became overwhelmed. Seeing the Lord's head without hair, Mother Shachi became greatly agitated. Text 142. Out of love, she began to caress the body of the Lord. Sometimes she kissed his face and tried to observe him carefully, but because her eyes were filled with tears, she could not see. Understanding that Lord Chaitanya had accepted the renounced order of life, Shachimata, crying, said to the Lord, "My darling Nimai, do not be cruel like Vishwarup, your elder brother." Text 144. Mother Shachi continued, after accepting the renounced order, Vishwarupa never again gave me audience. If you do like him, that will certainly be the death of me. 145. The Lord replied, "My dear mother, please hear me. This body belongs to you. I do not possess anything. This body was raised by you, and it comes from you. I cannot repay this debt even in millions of births." 147. Knowingly or unknowingly, I have accepted this renounced order. Still, I shall never be indifferent to you. Text 148. My dear mother, wherever you ask me to stay, I shall stay, and whatever you order, I shall execute. 149. Saying this, the Lord offered obeisances to his mother again and again, and Mother Shachi, being pleased, took him again and again on her lap. Text 150. Then Advaita Acharya took Mother Shachi within the house. The Lord was immediately ready to meet all the devotees. 151. The Lord met all the devotees one after the other, and looking at everyone's face individually, he embraced them tightly. 152. Although the devotees were unhappy at not seeing the Lord's hair, they nonetheless derived great happiness from seeing his beauty. 153 to 155. Srivas, Ramai, Vidyanidhi, Gadadhar, Gangadas, Vakreshwar, Murari, Shuklambar, Buddhimanta Khan, Nandana, Sridhar, Vijay, Vasudev, Damodar, Mukunda, Sanjaya, and all the others, however many I can mention. Indeed, all the inhabitants of Navadvip arrived there, and the Lord met them with smiles and glances of mercy. Text 156. Everyone was chanting the holy names of Hari and dancing. In this way, the domicile of Advaita Acharya was converted into Sri Vaikuntha Puri. Text 157. People came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from various other villages nearby, as well as Navadvip. 158. To everyone who came to see the Lord from villages nearby, especially from Navadvip, Advaita Acharya gave residential quarters, as well as all kinds of eatables for many days. Whew! Indeed, he properly adjusted everything. 159. The supplies of Advaita Acharya were inexhaustible and indestructible. As many goods and commodities as he used, just as many again appeared. Text 160. From the day Shachi Mata arrived at the house of Advaita Acharya, she took charge of the cooking, and Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu dined in the company of all the devotees. Text 161. All the people who came there during the day saw Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu and the friendly behavior of Advaita Acharya. At night, they had the opportunity to see the Lord's dancing and hear his chanting. 162. When the Lord performed kirtan, he manifested all kinds of transcendental symptoms. He appeared stunned and trembling. His hair stood on end, and his voice faltered. There were tears and devastation. Purport. Devastation is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu as a combination of happiness and distress that becomes conspicuous by an absence of any sense of them. In this condition, a devotee falls to the ground, and the subsequent symptoms in the body ensue. These symptoms are mentioned above, and when they become prominent in the body, a state of pralaya, devastation, is manifest. Text 173. Frequently the Lord would tumble to the ground. Seeing this, Mother Shachi would cry. Text 164. Srimati Shachi Mata thought that the body of Nimai was being smashed when he fell down so. She cried, alas, and petitioned Lord Vishnu, my dear Lord, kindly bestow this benediction as a result of whatever service I have rendered unto you from my childhood. Whenever Nimai falls to the surface of the earth, please do not let him feel any pain. 167. When Mother Shachi was thus overwhelmed in maternal love for Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, she became transformed with happiness, fear, and humility, as well as bodily symptoms. Purport. These verses indicate that Mother Shachi, born in the family of Nilambar Chakrabarti, used to worship Lord Vishnu even before her marriage. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 641, Prapya Punya Kritam Lokan Ushit Va Shashwati Shamaha Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Brashto Vijayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Mother Shachi, a Nitya Siddha living entity, is an incarnation of Madhya Yashoda. She appeared in the house of Nilambar Chakrabarti and was everlastingly engaged in the service of Lord Vishnu. Later she directly had as her child Lord Vishnu, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and she served him from the day of his appearance. This is the position of Nitya Siddha associates. Sri Narottam Das Thakur therefore sings, Gaurangera Sanghi Gani Nitya Siddha Karimane. Every devotee should know that all the associates of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, his family members, friends, and other associates, were all Nitya Siddhas. A Nitya Siddha never forgets the service of the Lord. He is always engaged, even from childhood, in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 168. Since Advaita Acharya was giving alms and food to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The other devotees, headed by Srivas Thakur, also desired to give him alms and invite him for lunch. Purport. It is the duty of all grihastas to invite a sannyasi to their homes if he happens to be in the neighborhood or village. This very system is still current in India. If a sannyasi is in the neighborhood of a village, he is invited by all householders, one after another. As long as the sannyasi remains in the village, he enlightens the inhabitants in spiritual understanding. In other words, a sannyasi has no housing or food problems, even when he travels extensively. Even though Advaita Äcärya was supplying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with prasadam, the other devotees from Navadvip and Chantipur also desired to offer him prasadam. Hearing these proposals made by other devotees of the Lord, Mother Shachi said to the devotees, "How many times shall I get the chance to see Nimai again?" Shachimata submitted, "As far as you are concerned, you can meet Nimai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many times somewhere else. But what is the possibility of my ever meeting him again? I shall have to remain at home. A sannyasi never returns to his home." Text 171. Mother Shachi appealed to all the devotees to give her this charity. As long as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained at the house of Advaita Äcärya, only she would supply him food. Text 172. Hearing this appeal from Mother Shachi, all the devotees offered obeisances and said, "We all agree to whatever Mother Shachi desires." So pleasing, so transcendental, so sweet. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw his mother's great eagerness, he became a little agitated and therefore assembled all the devotees present and spoke to them. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed them, "Without your order, I tried to go to Vrindavan. There was some obstacle, however, and I had to return. My dear friends, although I have suddenly accepted this renounced order, I still know that I shall never be indifferent to you. My dear friends, as long as I remain manifest, I shall never give you up, nor shall I be able to give up my mother." After accepting sannyas, it is not the duty of a sannyasi to remain at his birthplace, encircled by relatives. Make some arrangement so that I may not leave you, and at the same time, people may not blame me for remaining with relatives after taking sannyas. After hearing Lord Chaitanya's statement, all the devotees, headed by Advaita Äcärya, approached Mother Shachi. When they submitted Lord Chaitanya's statement, Mother Shachi, who is the mother of the universe, began to speak. Shachimata said, "It will be my great happiness for me if Nimai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, stays here. But at the same time, if someone blames him, it will be my great unhappiness." Purport. It is a great happiness for a mother if her son does not leave home to search out Krishna, but remains with her. At the same time, if a son does not search after Krishna, but simply remains at home, he is certainly blamed by experienced saintly persons. Such blame certainly causes great unhappiness for a mother. If a real mother wants her son to progress spiritually, she had better allow him to go out searching for Krishna. The mother naturally desires the welfare of the son. If a mother does not allow her son to search for Krishna, she is called Ma, which indicates Maya. By allowing her son to go as a sannyasi and search for Krishna, Shachimata instructs all mothers of the world. She indicates that all sons should become real devotees of Krishna and should not stay at home under the care of an affectionate mother. This is supported by Srimad Bhagavatam 5:5-18. Gurur nasasyat swajano nasasyat pita nasasyat janani nasasyat daivam natatsyan napatishtasasyan namochayat yak samupeta mrityum. No one should become a spiritual master, nor a relative, father, mother, worshipable deity, or husband, if he cannot help a person escape the imminent path of death. Every living entity is wandering within the universe, subjected to the law of karma, and transmigrating from one body to another, and from one planet to another. Therefore, the whole Vedic process is meant to save the wandering living entities from the clutches of Maya, birth, death, old age, and disease. This means stopping the cycle of birth and death. This cycle can be stopped only if one worships Krishna. As the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita 4:9, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatpataha chaktva deham punar janma naitimam etisorjana. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. To stop the cycle of birth and death, one has to understand Krishna as he is. Simply by knowing Krishna, one can stop the process of rebirth into this material world. By acting in Krishna consciousness, one can return to Godhead. The highest perfection of life is for a father, mother, spiritual master, husband, or any other family member to help others return home back to Godhead. That is the most preferred welfare activity for the benefit of relatives. Therefore, Sachimata, although the mother of Nimai Pandit, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, considered all the facts and decided to allow her son to go out and search for Krishna. At the same time, she made some arrangements in order that she might get news of all the activities of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Mother Sachi said, "This consideration is good. In my opinion, if Nimai remains at Jagannath Puri, he may not leave any one of us, and at the same time can remain aloof as a sannyasi. Thus, both purposes are fulfilled." Since Jagannath Puri and Navadvip are intimately related, as if they were two rooms in the same house, people from Navadvip generally go to Jagannath Puri, and those in Jagannath Puri go to Navadvip. This going and coming will help carry news of Lord Chaitanya. In this way, I shall be able to get news of him. All you devotees will be able to come and go, and sometimes he may also come to take his bath in the Ganges. I do not care for my personal happiness or unhappiness, but only for his happiness. Indeed, I accept his happiness as my happiness. After hearing Sachimata, all the devotees offered her prayers and assured her that her order, like a Vedic injunction, could not be violated. All the devotees informed Lord Chaitanya of Sachimata's decision. Hearing it, the Lord became very pleased. And I'll stop the reading there. Hare Krishna. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Sachimata ki jai. All the devotees, Advaita Äcärya ki jai. Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. All the devotees, eternal associates of Caitanya Mahaprabhu from Navadvip, Jagannath Puri ki jai. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll stop there. Such an ecstatic pastime of the Lord. Imagine. Just imagine. Hare Krishna. Any reflections? Further ecstasies from the devotees? Hare Krishna. That was an hour reading. It's good. It's too good. Couldn't stop.
Something from Rati Manjari.
Hey Rati, Hare Krishna. You earned your new handle, the most hostess with the mostess.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Tonight we heard a lot about prasadam and the transcendental nature of prasadam. I would like to ask a long-standing question about how we are to meditate during our offering of bhoga to the Lord. It is a little long. I hope you do not mind. Should we simply meditate that we are offering the bhoga to our spiritual master, and as we continue the prayers, should we then visualize that our Guru is offering the bhoga to his Guru, and that Srila Prabhupada is offering it to Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya to Sri Sri Radha and Krishna? Or should we visualize that we ourselves offer the bhoga to all these transcendental personalities, one after another? Or should we not think of anything, but merely focus on reciting all the pranams and prayers with devotion, or something different?
This question is fraught with difficulty. It's fraught with difficulty because you're trying to make a rule or regulation about how a person is supposed to do what it's supposed to do is internally. These things are according to the spiritual advancement of the person and the level of spiritual knowledge and commitment. But the principle, as you go deeper and deeper into devotional service, these rules and regulations, should I do this or should I do that? Should I do this and that and this, or should I do that and this? Or what should I do? It means that a person is not yet come to the spontaneous platform where he will be guided within what to do and without, and will not even think about those things. But so the general principle is that we can't approach Krishna directly. The general principle is that we approach Krishna through our spiritual master. And we have faith that food will then be offered up the line of disciplic succession to Krishna. It sounds contradictory, or it may not sound logical, but the farther you're removed from Krishna and you offer the food with love to that person, to offer to the person above him, and so on, up to Krishna, that is more elevated. It gives a person more depth of devotion. But to visualize oneself going, giving to him, then giving it to him, then giving it to him, then giving him, finally giving it directly to Krishna, that means there's some untoward desire in the heart to be with Krishna directly, which is not pure bhakti. It is not in the line of our disciplic succession. Our disciplic succession is we want to be the servant of the servant of the servant. And the more removed from Krishna we become, serving that person as the servant of Krishna and serving Krishna in that way, the pleasure that we get is 10 million times greater than if we were to be together right with Krishna and giving it directly to him. That is the position we are in within this material world, until we become actual eternal associates of Krishna. Like we hear these pastimes going on between Advaita Acharya and Nityananda and the other, and Lord Chaitanya and Advaita Acharya. But like I said during the reading, it's like a spiritual, drama that's going on. The two to teach us very things, and at the same time to accommodate the Lord's transcendental activities and emotions and transcendental humor, and all this so-called fighting is actually, an exhibition of the transcendental ecstasy that these devotees are, these lords are feeling for one another. So this is the difference between sahajism and pure devotional service. The pure devotee never thinks of himself. Just like Mother Sachi, she just said, my happiness is his happiness. She never thinks of her own happiness. In separation, she may lament in the relationship of a mother to a son, because that's her spiritual relationship with Krishna. She's Mother Yashoda. She can say those things, and she can, do those things. But we can't imitate those things. We should rather take that last instruction she gave us. Lord Chaitanya as a sannyasi, I would be very happy to have him here with me forever. But it is not the duty of a mother whose son has taken sannyas to desire that. It is the duty of the mother to see to the pleasure of the child. So she sees Lord Chaitanya as her child, therefore she puts him on his lap when he comes. My gosh, he's 7'6" tall, and she's putting him on his lap again and again. This is all pastime. The same thing happened when Krishna came back to Vrindavan, and Mother Yashoda came in front of all the devotees. Everyone wanted to go and meet Krishna. He was coming across the river. They were camped on the other side of the river because Nanda Maharaj could not go back to Nandagram without Krishna. They had just come back from Kurukshetra, and they camped there for a long time because he just couldn't go back to Vrindavan without Krishna. And eventually Krishna came there, across the Yamuna from Mathura. And there they were camped out. And all the devotees rushed there to see him. He was blowing the conch shell. They knew he was coming. Madhya Yashoda came through, and everybody backed off. Everybody backed off. And the love that Lord Krishna and Madhya Yashoda shared with one another was so powerful. No one else could move or speak. They were just standing there like statues, watching Krishna and Madhya Yashoda experience their filial love for one another. So we should never think, to imitate those kinds of things. And if we are really advanced, the more advanced we are, we will feel those things, in separation from those things, to the point where we become qualified to be in the pastimes of the Lord. And then we'll go there and be with the Lord, and we won't think about those things at all. Everything will be conducted naturally by our own love for Krishna and Krishna's devotees. We won't think, should I do this, should I do this, can I do this, can I do that? So while we're in that state, we should just follow the rules of the Vaidhi Bhakti taught by the spiritual master and by the Vaishnavas, and especially by these transcendental literatures and follow in their footsteps, not make something up. Hare Krishna.
Next is something from Karuna Mana.
Karunama.
Karuna Mana.
Karuna Mana, not Karuna Mai. Karuna Mana. Okay, Hare Krishna, Karuna Mana.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, glories to Prabhupada.
Although I joined ISKCON in 1991, I have not read entire CC systematically, so I am so grateful to be doing so now in this association here with you and the assembled devotees. I usually cannot listen live, but hear and follow later in day of my time zone here. Thank you so much. I did not have such taste for CC as I am having now here.
Thank you so much. That's the goal of my life. Hare Krishna. You just made my day.
Rati Manjari says thank you.
Hare Krishna, Rati. Your questions are always bring out the best in me. Hare Krishna. I don't know where all that came from, but it's by your mercy. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone. It's 8:30 and I have to go. It's been a wild ride since that birthday bash, and little sleep and a lot of things to do, and I had to beg your forgiveness for not, sending out all the offerings right away. It's going to take me a little time to collate it all and still do the other things I have to do for the RRP and everything else. I'm also doing some different things to get myself completely settled in here as a resident of this place, and also doing some healthcare, things. So thank you all very much. I'm overwhelmed with happiness to be able to be with you every day and do this. It is the goal of life to get the taste for hearing the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially Caitanya-caritämrta. Hare Krishna.
Rati Manjari had one more comment.
Yes.
She says, I also like today that Lord Chaitanya expressed his dedication to his devotees, saying that he would never give them up.
Yes. Correct. That's the relationship. Shri Caitanya-caritämrta ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Brinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. See you tomorrow night. Same time, same place, same nectar. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow.